Chapter 9. As Megan opened the door, Emma looked up from behind the work table, her hands covered with flour. Back so soon, she asked. How is poor Mrs. Haskell? Up and about, Megan said. She avoided Emma's eyes, taking great pains to hang up her coat. She's up already. Wait, 2 bowls of your soup must have been a great help. Emma sounded puzzled, but Farley said she had a fever. I don't think Mrs. Haskell is very sick, Megan told her. I think she is just moping. She picked up Moby, who was trying to scramble over the backs of the other pups, and buried her face in his warm fur. Come over here, Megan, Emma said, and as Megan put the pup back in the box and obeyed, she had, You were so kind to offer your help, especially after Mrs. Haskell. Well, in any case, I'm making you a treat. Little biscuits baked with a crust of butter and brown sugar. You'll love 'em, she giggled. We'll both love 'em. Oh, Megan moaned and clutched her stomach as guilt settled in once more in a tight lump. Starting at the very beginning, she told Emma everything. When Megan had finished, Emma thought a moment and wrinkled her forehead in concentration. Well, she murmured, and and then, well, again. Finally, she looked at Megan with serious eyes and said, What you did to deliberately frighten her was wrong. I know, Megan said. Emma sighed. I remember how difficult it was to live in a dugout. It was only because I loved Ben so much and because we had the same goals that I could do it. Her eyes looked sad as she looked at Megan. Ada Haskell has neither love nor goals to help her adjust. Megan could feel tears on her cheeks, and she quickly wiped them away with her fingertips. Remember the Aesop fable about the farmer and the sticks? Emma said. The farmer showed his sons how he could easily break one stick alone. When he tied them together in a bundle, it was impossible to break them. Life on the prairie has many joys, but it also has terrible hardships. Who can help a woman get through bad times if not another woman? We should never work against each other. We can only be strong by standing together. I'll never try to frighten Mrs. Haskell again, Emma promised. Of course you won't, Emma said. Now, help me think. How can we make amends to Ada? Megan wiped her eyes on her sleeve and glanced toward the brick oven in the fireplace. The sugary fragrance of the biscuits tickled her nose, and the answer was obvious. We could give her my share of the biscuits, she said stoically. Emma began to wipe up the cut flour from the table. If we did that, then tonight at supper, Ben would ask why we weren't eating any of the biscuits. And I think you and I are the only ones who need to know your story. She wrung out the cloth and the flourish and said, We'll take all the biscuits to Ada Haskell, except for 2. One for you and one for me, because we should taste them and make sure they're baked long enough. And Megan looked up quickly in time to catch just a flash of mischief in Emma's eyes. When the biscuits were baked, their sugar topping a deep golden crackled crust, Emma solemnly counted out 2 before wrapping the others in a cloth to keep them warm and tucking them in a basket. Megan reached for the basket, but Emma put a hand in her way. A walk will do me good. This time I'll pay a visit, she said, but not before you and I have tasted the biscuits and had a cup of cold milk to go with them. Emma chattered happily as they ate, and Megan thought of how beautiful Emma was with her rosy cheeks and sparkling eyes. How lucky she, Megan, was that Emma and Ben had chosen her. Megan had fed Rosie the chickens and the hungry pups and tucked 3 potatoes into a hot fireplace ashes to bake by the time Emma returned. She dropped her empty basket onto the floor and flung herself into the nearest chair. Her cheeks were flushed and she breathed heavily. Megan ran to Emma and crouched before her, clasping her hands. Are you ill? Please don't be ill. Ill? Me? Oh no, Megan, I'm just a bit upset. That woman! Emma stopped and shook her head as though trying to clear it. At least, Emma continued, as the mischief began to come back in her eyes, I listened to all that Ada Haskell on her mind, which was a great deal to be sure, and I made no mention of scalpings or wolves, which took every ounce of my self-restraint. She rocked with laughter, and Megan sat back on the floor laughing too. At that moment, Ben poked his head in the door and studied them with a pleased expression. I'm glad you 2 are having such a good time. Megan jumped to her feet with a shout of delight and pulled Emma up from the chair. Emma ran to throw her arms around Ben. You're home safely, she cried. I missed you. The wagon's in good shape now, thanks to the blacksmith, Ben said. We won't have to worry about it this winter. You're hungry, aren't you? Emma asked. She fussed over him, helping him off with his coat and gloves. I know it's been hours since you ate all the food I packed. What did you see or hear in town? What news do you have for us? Most of the talk's about the election, wondering how the states voted. Do you think Lincoln was elected, did they say? Oh, if only Kansas had statehood, Emma said. What was the talk of statehood? Will we find out soon? Ben laughed and held up both hands, palms out, in the same gesture of peace he made to the Indians. I just came inside to tell you I was home. I'll feed and stable Jay and Jimbo and be back soon. I'll be glad to answer your questions. By the time we returned, supper was on the table. Ben handed Megan a package wrapped in paper and string and said, Before I eat, I'd like to give this to Megan. I bought it from a man who was selling most of his family's possessions before they went back east. Megan eagerly tore off the paper and held up a carved wooden frame, trimmed with gilt paint and holding a real sheet of glass. Oh, she cried, it's beautiful. Dear Ben, how wonderful you are, Emma murmured. The picture Mr. Cartwright drew of you deserves a real frame, not a homemade one. Ben told Megan. Run and get the picture. We'll see how it looks. Megan removed the rolled sketch from the chest where she'd hidden it and brought it to Ben. He fixed it on a place inside the frame and held it up for Emma and Megan to see. Perfect. Emma clapped her hands together. I love it. Megan studied the drawing with even more excitement than she'd felt the first time. It looked elegant inside the frame. That girl with the solemn eyes and the long dark hair is me, she thought, and her cheeks grew warm. Thank you, she whispered shyly as she smiled up at Ben. Well, Ben mumbled. I'm hungry. Food's getting cold. Let's say grace and we can eat. Megan didn't think about what she was eating because what Ben had to tell them was so interesting. He was eager to report to Emma and Megan all he had heard from the men who voiced their fears that if Abraham Lincoln was not elected, the United States would be in grave danger. "We cannot abide slavery in this country," Ben stated, and Megan and Emma nodded in agreement. "Oh, I hope Abraham Lincoln was elected," Megan said. "Dot said he'll make things right for the country." Ben sighed. "If he is elected, I'm afraid what the South might do." "If Lincoln's elected, the Southerners will just have to accept it," Emma said. "Not necessarily," Ben said. "His name wasn't even allowed on the ballot in some states in the South. We could say there were really two elections, one in the North and one in the South. There are strong rumors that if the electoral vote is for Lincoln, the Southern states will band together and secede from the Union and form their own country." Emma's forehead wrinkled. "The next step would truly be a civil war." Megan leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table. "When will we know who's elected, Mr. Lincoln or Mr. Douglas? Don't leave out Breckinridge, who is also in the Democratic Party and very strong in the South. And there's Bell, who represents the Constitutional Union Party, but I don't think he stands a chance." Ben smiled at Megan's impatience. "Each state's electoral votes will tell the tale. Word will come fairly quickly to the states that have a telegraph, but west of the Missouri River, it's going to take longer. Here in Kansas, we should know in perhaps 2 or 3 weeks." "It's hard to wait so long to find out," Emma said. Ben leaned back in his chair. "It's not all the news that I have that might interest you. There's also new neighbors, about 6 miles or so south of us." Emma perked up, her eyes sparkling. "Have you met them? What are they like? Tell me." "They're Russian, near as I can figure," Ben said. "We had some trouble trying to understand each other's language. They brought the Neiman place and have it pretty well fixed up, considering the Neimans left it over a year ago." "It's good land," Emma said. "Handy to the river. Maybe they can make a go of it. I never thought the Neimans' hearts were in it. Well, these people, Oblinsky's the name, Ma and Nikolai Oblinsky, look as though they're ready to tackle anything, but they'll need a little help." "What kind of help? What can we do for them?" Emma asked. "Their sod house needs a new roof," Ben said. "I promised, if you felt it was all right for me to leave you tomorrow, I'd stay 2 days with them and help get the job done." "Of course I want you to go," Emma said. She patted her large abdomen. "I wish I were a little less awkward and could go with you. I'll send some household things." Ben began rubbing his chin again. A worried wrinkle appeared between his eyebrows, and Megan wondered why. "We'll be fine here," she said reassuringly. "I'll take good care of Emma." "I'm sure you will," Ben said. "I'll ride horseback so that you'll have the other horse if you need to come for me." Emma patted his arm. "There's no reason we'd have to send for you. If for any reason we need help in a hurry, which we won't, we can reach Farley much faster. What's worrying you?" "I don't know," Ben said. "It's just an odd prickle, as your mother used to say. Maybe I don't like the idea of leaving you, Emma. Or maybe it's the weather." As Emma and Megan looked at him with surprise, he explained, "We're well into November, long overdue for snow." Emma got up and began to clear the plates from the table. "We've been long overdue for rain or snow. I can't imagine you worrying about a thing like that. The sky has been clear, too clear, if anything. A good soaking rain would be welcome." "Remember the blizzards in early 1856? Ben asked. "They came without warning." He shrugged and she looked a little sheepish. "Maybe I've been part of this land so long I'm beginning to feel the land as the land feels." Emma stopped to pat his shoulder and rest her cheek against the top of his head. "Oh, Ben," she said, "Megan and I'll be fine. Don't borrow bad luck." "Bad luck will come to you and yours." Ben looked from his wife and smiled, but Megan, the whisper of the gypsy's voice suddenly in her ears, shivered with fear.